Welcome back, guys. It's another great episode of the Geek Centurions. I want to say this is our second or first episode of the year? Second, right?
Uh, I guess first recorded
For
in
the new year.
2021,
Yeah,
but the second to be uploaded.
that's right. Because the first one was Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, we can talk about it another day with Daniel. But we got Daniel back, and
Alright.
Yep.
good old Joy. But we're gonna be talking about some quick discussions. Some light stuff. There's two topics mainly. It's gonna be about the whole Michael Keaton coming back as Batman for to replacing Batfleck, whether or not that's we're gonna give our opinions on that, and whether or not it's true or not, or just DC marketing, whatever, Warner Brothers marketing, sorry. And also, why Marvel wants a good Fantastic Four movie, and why we kind of just need that. So that's gonna be our whole discussion for the episode, and it's gonna be real quick, real fun. Let's see how long we can take this going, but earlier at the time of this recording of this, the week of this recording, we just got news that Batman will continue, but Michael Keaton will be the one playing him, or so they say. Because Daniel, you've been telling me this, and then Joe, you and I talked about this. Is like, is he actually replacing Affleck, or is this just like some ploy to get us invested in their stuff again? And we can start off with you, Daniel, your thoughts on the whole situation.
Yeah, because it was weird. I thought Robert Pattinson was the one replacing Ben Affleck, but then it turns out like his Batman movie is actually just an alternate universe, so it doesn't really take place in the DC cinematic universe at all. So I thought it was kind of weird. It's like so we're just split into different branches of Batman, which is completely fine by me. But if you do like if you're doing the way they're handling it, it's just going to be a bit more confusing. Plus, I mean, we've seen Michael Keaton as Batman. He's really good, but I think the only way I could see him is if they brought him, for maybe like a Batman Beyond type of movie.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone was saying when they first announced
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson as Batman. They're like, hey, can we get, like, we don't mind him being Batman, but can we just bring in like Michael Keaton and we can do like a Batman Beyond movie? So like that was like one of the best shows in the '90s. I can't wait to see that again. Heck, in live screen in the live action format. But yeah, you brought up a good thing. Like it's very confusing right now because but they did announce a while back that hey, Robert Pattinson and Batfleck are two different Batman. We're just doing our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, Batfleck's movie was supposed to be with the Ron Pattinson movie, but because Ben Affleck started falling out with I'm gonna say Marvel DC, they they're basically the same company, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. There's a Batman there, there's a Batman here, and anyways, but essentially because he had a fallout with them, and he was originally gonna be the one writing and directing that Batman movie, and he just like it's like no, I don't want to do this no more. They kind of gave it to somebody else, and then they eventually made the whole Pattinson movie.
Yeah.
So that's the situation. I think that you're talking about, and that we ended up having. But yeah, Joe, your thoughts on whether or not this whole Michael Keaton coming back for Batman is part of the DCU plan?
I it's super weird. I don't I personally don't think it's true in any sense. Um, just because it just seems like if they had said, and like I think you guys had mentioned, like if they had said if it was part of a Batman Beyond movie or whatever, then be like, oh, that's neat. But they haven't. They're like this news source is saying that he's replacing Ben Affleck in any future like DC Batman movies, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, what? What? They don't even. First of all, they don't even look alike. Second of all, they're not
It,
even the same age.
and it's gonna be very jarring when you see like Michael Keaton trying to like romance Gal Gadot.
Yeah, it's so bizarre for a report like that, and the fact that it hasn't been debunked by any official Warner Brothers
Mm-hmm.
or DC executive is kind of bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
the fact that no one's actually come out and disproved it, or Michael Keaton himself hasn't come out and said, "Hey, listen, this isn't true" or whatever, or even even if it was kind of true, like if it was part of a Batman Beyond thing or whatever, at least I feel like Michael Keaton himself would come out and be like, "Listen, we were in talks, but I can't really say anything at the moment," kind of thing. Like that sort of classic
Mhm.
PR sort of stance. So it's just super weird that like this rumor has gotten like super large out there. Like again, I don't think it just doesn't make sense to me. Like to just like replace Ben Affleck with Michael Keaton. Like it seems like something like a random fan on the internet would like. Would be like, I really would like it if Michael Keaton was Batman again. He was the best Batman ever. No one else can do it better than him, or whatever, or something like that. I don't know. That's just me, though.
It reminds me of the whole. I have to look up her name real quick because like I could not remember off the top of my head. But it's the whole. You guys remember when She-Hulk was announced? They found the actress to play her, and
Mm-hmm.
like, and she's like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like I didn't accept anything. I'm not playing She-Hulk, and then be everyone who was like, "Oh, yo, she's a great actress. She's gonna do a great job as She-Hulk." But she kept denying it, and then all of a sudden we find out, oh no, she was denying the denial. She's actually is She-Hulk. I feel like if this is that situation, it's not as acceptable for me because like, not saying Michael Keaton's not a bad Batman. I think he's my whenever I think of Batman as a kid, I go to that Batman. Before Christian Bale and everything else, he was always the Batman for me. And not saying that him being part of this expansive universe doesn't mean it's not cool. I just feel like, hey, you're just saying this to like get us all riled up because we're probably not gonna have another Batman movie in the next few years with Captain Benson. And even then, I think he said this was just a one-time thing.
I mean, yeah, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, like let's be honest. If they did some sort of like time travel multiverse thing, I'd be down. That'd be cool. Like a room full of Batman. That'd be awesome. And not to this, I mean, it's still just rumors, so we can't really say with 100% certainty that it is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's best to take this with a grain of salt because apparently I've read this news from like I forget what's the name of this company or whatever, but they claimed that Josh Brolin was being replaced for the role of Thanos, and obviously that was false. So it's best just to take this with a grain of salt for now.
Hmm. But I think but I think, and this is where the conversation I want to take it to. I think it's just we, it's just a nostalgia factor, man. We just love to want to see these guys back. It's the same thing with the Spider-Man 3 movie. We're getting everyone back. We're getting Sam Raimi and his people back. We got Doc Ock, Toby, Mary Jane,
Yeah,
Andrew
Crystal Stone,
Garfield.
Andrew.
Exactly. Then
Oh, like yeah, and then Emma Stone, and so on and so on.
it's like, are we sure this is true? Like the fan in me is like, hell yes. I want to see Toby back. I want to see Andrew get redeemed in his Spider-Man movies. I think he did a pretty good job as Spider-Man, not a good job as Peter Parker. But as a Spider-Man, he was pretty okay. He got the quips. He knew how to make the laughs. But he he never reached that point to probably get his good redemption. But aside from that, it sounds too good to be true. You know?
I mean, yeah, because like I remember I wanted Spider-Man 4, and we got the Amazing Spider-Man instead, and it kind of was disappointing because we actually had like characters all set up from Spider-Man 3. Like again, I forget what was the doctor's name. That became the Lizard.
Kirk Connors.
Yeah, Kirk Connors. He was in there like investigating like the symbiote and everything, and you see him like they were like setting up all this stuff happening. So this is something I would love to see because this would be like my personal Spider-Man 4, while it's also being a Spider-Man 3 for Tom Holland itself. But yeah, like seeing all this, like seeing like hearing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, come up, that's cool. Then they started bringing up almost literally everyone, like in Smash Brothers Ultimate, and it's like, oh, that's like this is really cool, but I think you're pushing it. I'm starting not to believe this.
Yeah, the moment they're like Doc Ock is coming, Alfred Molina is coming back, I was like, isn't he dead? And Joey, I know you had the biggest issue with this.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of these. I mean, like I don't know. Like I'm just wondering, like, what do they have to do to bring all these people back, right?
Hmm.
Like, are these gonna be like actual like? Are all these characters gonna have like big roles? Are they just gonna be like small cameos? What's going on? Like everybody's talking about how this is gonna be probably be like a Spider Verse, like a live action Spider Verse movie or whatever. And I'm just here sort of um, like
Feels early for it.
I
yeah,
mean,
I feel like I mean, we already had this with the Into the Spider Verse movies, Miles Morales being the head Spider Man from
Hmm.
there.
Which makes sense.
yeah, like I think it's because like Sony they own the rights to all the Spider-Man characters and villains. So like Disney over here are looking at it's like, well, shit. They did a movie that actually won an Oscar and made us lose that category in animation. So let's go ahead and take this instead.
I feel like it's more, and this is again, this is going back to the whole Michael Keaton's Batman. I think it's just a way for us to get invested on because look, Twitter blew the fuck up when they said that Toby and Andrew were coming back. They blew the hell up. Like everywhere you saw it was Toby's coming back. You know, Andrew's coming back. And the moment they announced Keaton was coming back as Batman for the DCEU, it blew up. Like it's everywhere, and people were happy. But the reasonable fan in me is like, are are we sure this is true, or is this just their way to get us, invested? Like how much we were already invested in Spider-Man 3, like whatever home whatever. It like, do we know if this is actually happening? If Toby and them are coming back, I don't know. I'm not sure. It would make sense because they're talking about multiverses, but like it's not. It feels more. It gets to a point that we have to question whether or not this is just for us to get excited over nothing. And that's kind of like what I'm worried about when it comes to Michael Keaton. I'm excited for him to come back, but when you're talking about him replacing a prominent character, and it's not a character that we can kind of brush off. Like, who was the guy that Don Cheadle replaced for War Machine?
Uh,
Uh, I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Exactly. Like, if it was something like that, I don't think anyone would complain. But Ben Affleck has his fans as Batman. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. He did a pretty decent job. He just happened to be screwed over by some of the writing. He he can do some good stuff. Like when we were watching Batman vs Superman, we were both like, "Wow, Ben Affleck's not a bad Batman."
yeah, no, I agree with that. Uh, and I think the difference I think here, especially when comparing it to like what happened with Not Too Much the War Machine thing, is that this was like the second MCU movie, like
Second or third.
yeah, no, second or third. So, like, it was early enough in that series where replacing actors for with different different actors for a character didn't doesn't seem like as like uh, as weird, right?
Yeah.
Because Rhodey in the first movie didn't have as big of a role as he does in the second movie, so, and later on, right? So you remember War Machine more as Don Cheadle playing him rather than the first guy, which I feel like I should definitely look up his name.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, what is his name? I'm blanking. I know he's in that show. No, I was gonna say Empire. He's in that show. He's like one of the lead characters. He's in some other shows too. But like he was gonna be War Machine. We were all like, hey, that guy could be a pretty cool War Machine.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. That was
There we go. There we go.
it was on the tip of everyone's tongue, but we just couldn't remember it because we kept thinking of Don Cheadle as War Machine.
Yeah.
So if Ben Affleck has been in what? How many movies now?
He's in Batman v Superman and the Justice League movie.
And he made a cameo in Suicide Squad.
And a cameo in was he a cameo in Wonder Woman?
No, that was Henry Cavill for '84.
Right. So he's in prominent in 3 movies. two of which were a main role, and one was about to give people the middle finger. I'm sorry. So all your listeners, you're fine. But anyways, but like he's had a prominent role. You can't deny it, and he's done a very good job as the role. For the most part, that was acceptable writing. And we're getting the Snyder cut where he's still in it. Granted, he might have a shortened role because I don't know if he came back for that movie. But he's in that movie.
I mean, yeah, like they even brought back what's his name as the Joker again? Um,
Jared Leto.
yeah, Jared Leto. Like for some reason they're bringing him back too, which surprised me.
And I think they're gonna give him a redesign too, as you said.
Did they say they were giving him a redesign?
I feel like that was someone. I feel like that was said somewhere around the vines.
Yeah, because the last time I heard about Jared Leto was that he wants no association with DC or Warner Brothers anymore.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and we can probably talk about that. Just how DC's handling their films, like without present. Some exclusions are noted, but like the majority of the decisions seem very like what and like why kind of stuff. Specifically talking about their like expanded both universe, the ones that are meant to be connected, like Batman of Steel all the way to Birds of Prey.
Mm-hmm.
Before, like there's at least one or two that like you know what that was actually a pretty good movie, and there's the rest of like you can feel like some sort of I wouldn't say editorial. I'm thinking about the comics, like editorial meddling, but like producing matter, like
Yeah, like there's definitely like some like it needs to hit certain criteria that
Yeah.
it doesn't mesh well.
Mm-hmm. And part of me thinks that's what I'm saying. Like, this is probably just them trying to get us, the consumers, to get back in on there because a lot of them, like we hit a good stride with something like Shazam. That was our last great one, and then everything else just starts coming like shuttling down the hill.
Yeah, like they had a few hits and they had let's say more than a couple of misses.
Mm-hmm. And some are very divisive, like Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of us guys here that are like, oh, we thought it was a pretty okay movie, and then some of us are like, no, we did not. We did not like it. We didn't.
I mean, I kind of wish it was more like the animated show, but that's a different topic for another day.
Another day. But anyways, you know, not saying that Michael Keaton is a bad idea to bring back. I'm 100% on board to see him play Batman again. Because let's face it, having him for two movies and then the third one that kind of ties in, and the fourth one being really just what, just feels kind of off, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
only been Batman for like two movies, and it feels like you need at least a third one to finish it off in a good way.
I mean, I guess, but in reality, I guess technically they're all the same Batman.
What do you mean?
Because you're talking about
Tim Burton's and
Joel Schumacher's
Yeah.
Batman. Like, aren't they technically kind of the same Batman? Because, like, I don't know. I guess in my brain, like, I feel like it's still somewhat of a continuation.
okay.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
I don't know, like,
you could like soft reboot it, but definitely like the two Joel Schumacher movies are definitely connected. It's just that they changed the Batman.
Yeah.
I feel like you could, in theory, connect Val Kilmer's Batman and George Clooney's Batman back to Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah, but do you want that though? It's so totally different and not.
I mean, you know.
I mean, the bat nipples on his bat suit.
Son of a bitch. You knew me. I'm done.
The back credit card and so on and so on.
Listen, Joel Schumacher would have made a great Adam West Batman movie, but that was not for us.
But I don't know. Like, I guess for me, like, if this is some weird marketing ploy, then I don't get it. Like, I feel like if it was gonna be like a way to pull people back in, like, I think it makes more sense if it was like, I don't know, if they decided to do like something like what Marvel sometimes does, where they have sort of a big press release of like, here's all our upcoming stuff or whatever,
Hmm.
or sometimes Disney would do it with Star Wars, where I think before, like not this previous one where they talk about all the new stuff they're doing, like Rogue Squadron and like announcing stuff for like the Obi-Wan show. I think initially
Yeah,
when they talked about it, I think it was D23
it was either D23 or the Star Wars.
celebration,
Yeah,
where it
celebration.
was the first time they mentioned they were gonna do something with Obi-Wan Kenobi. We weren't sure if it was gonna be a show or a movie, but they had brought up Ewan McGregor and everything. So
It,
like if
now
if
that was special.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pini. Uh, so if they just did something like that, where they had like, I know it's kind of hard to do that because of current events, um, but maybe like a Zoom call conference or whatever to be like, and we have Michael Keaton here who's going to do something. He's going to be part of our DC lineup in a very interesting way, and just tease it. I mean, that would make more sense to me,
Hmm.
right? Instead of just being leaked by like a couple of news sources on the internet and no one saying anything about it.
Hmm.
Like again, like I mean, you said with the She-Hulk thing, like that actress was denying everything
Hmm.
until it was officially confirmed, right?
Yeah.
Like, so why isn't Michael Keaton saying anything? He's an experienced actor. He should be able to be like, listen, guys, it's just a rumor. Don't worry about it. All right.
Hmm.
We had some talks. I can't say anything at the moment. So why is he so quiet? Is he under an NDA? What's up? What's the big deal?
Hmm.
It doesn't make sense to me. Even if he wasn't under an NDA, he could just literally just be like, I'm not a part of this. And then just, if it's revealed later, then he's like, yeah, I was lying to you guys. Yeah, like, I don't, it's just so, it's such a weird, like, uh, it's like an over, like, like,
it's like I said, we're getting some crap because of nostalgia.
yeah, I think that's sort of driving people to think that, but we don't know enough information to where like if it's true or not, and we should wait until Warner Brothers says something. But the fact they're not saying something makes me believe that it's not true. Because if it was true, they would have probably mentioned something by now. And I don't think this is them doing a bizarre marketing stunt because it just doesn't seem like that kind of style.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Daniel, any final thoughts from you, buddy?
It's weird, but let's see what happens.
Fair enough. I think that's basically all we can say. I
Yeah.
think we summed up the whole, our whole thought that it's just weird how one we're not against it. I don't think you're against it, are you, Joey?
No, I'm not. I would like to see Michael Keaton return in a Batman form or whatever. That'd be neat. But the way they're saying it is a
Mhm.
little concerning.
Yeah, it's like I said, they're trying to gain attention for people who who want to see that and are trying to claim that. For all we know, it's probably just a rumor, and it's just even then if it is just a rumor, it's just weird how Michael Keaton hasn't said anything about it, or he just doesn't really care. But anyways, that's not the end of the episode. We got one more conversation. And Joey mentioned it earlier. I it was around the time, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where when we were watching the VGAs, they also had a announcement of new Marvel lineup stuff, so new movies, new TV shows, and all that kind of stuff. And one that caught everyone's attention, and one that I feel we need to discuss because let's just say the track record for this film has not been good. We
Mhm.
had one unreleased movie, the Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, which is the most goofiest movie I've ever seen in my life. The two Fantastic Four movies that came out in the mid 2000s, which are the ones that I grew up with and kind of enjoyed, and Fan Four Stick, which in that end of itself is a topic of discussion that can be held another day. Now, Marvel who has gotten back the rights for Fantastic Four, has announced that hey, guys, guess what? We're bringing them back. We're bringing back Fantastic Four, and John Watts, the director of the past two Spider-Man movies under our belt, Homecoming and Far From Home, is going to be director. It's coming, guys. Don't worry. And that got me to thinking because I heard some people say this. One, they're extremely excited. Oh my God, Marvel Studios will be making a Fantastic Four movie. They're gonna get it down right. While others are like, why would you make Fantastic Four movie? It just never works. So that's the continuation of our discussion. Why is it important for Marvel to nail Fantastic Four? Daniel, sorry, brother.
I mean, like you said, there's like four movies that came out and one unreleased one, and they weren't good. And Fantastic Four, they don't really have a good track record with uh, media outside of comics. So not just the movies, but games and I think maybe the TV shows. I haven't seen the shows, but yeah, like they weren't that good. So seeing that Marvel finally got the rights back to the Fantastic Four and so on after the purchase of 20th Century Fox is actually a big deal because we seen them they took pretty much all these crazy ideas like again Guardians of the Galaxy. No one thought it would be a great movie, but people loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another team outside of Guardians of the Galaxy too, because this is arguably the first superhero team in comics history as well.
Mm-hmm. It was this is the first family team
Uh,
because that's kind of
yeah,
Justice League and Society were the first ones, and then Marvel came in with their, which is a family dynamic for it.
yeah.
So yeah, no, you're right, Joey. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm on the side of. I think Marvel can pull it off pretty well because Kevin Feige and the rest of the people running the Marvel Studios sort of have a good head on like how to handle these sort of classical characters. So I think I am going. I'm like seeing how well they've handled like various characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they can do a pretty good job at bringing the Fantastic Four onto the big screen again and and doing it right this time. You know, uh, I I think it's because I feel like it's not because the Fantastic Four themselves are like not interesting because I feel like they can be interesting.
They can be.
It's just
Mhm.
that I think the past attempts have been focused on doing different things besides focusing on those characters.
Yeah, this is gonna be my take. I think the reason why the Marvel wants to get it done is because they are known as the Marvel's first family. This is the moment where in comic history, this is the moment where Stan Lee became known as Stan Lee. He was the one who brought him in. He almost left Marvel. He almost quit until his wife was like, "Just write a book that you would want to write." And that's how we got the Fantastic Four. Such a great hit that led us down to where Stan Lee would inevitably become, the Stan Lee that we all know. God rest his soul and all that good stuff. And this is probably the most important film for Marvel because it is definite is one like comic Spider-Man is one of their more definitive character lineups. The Thing, the Human Torch, Mister Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and then the further you go in, the further you kind of love these characters, and it brings back probably the most prevalent supervillain that we've all known aside from Thanos. This is the man who can go up against Thanos, Doctor Doom. And if you've never seen Doctor Doom, or I mean, read any Doctor books with Doctor Doom, you kind of just see him as just like that goofy villain. But then you realize, oh, in the comics, he's a total badass.
Yeah.
Like holy shit, my man he owns a country. He's kind of like a dictator, being it's kind of like a weird, kind of good, but also kind of bad dictator. And sometimes he makes Thanos his little bitch. If you you got basically one of the most baddest dudes ever, and if you can introduce us to now the Fantastic Four in the right way, focusing on that family dynamic, and also bring in the most baddest, possibly going to be our second Thanos for this, trilogy or saga or whatever, to knock it out of the park, dude, go for it, dude. I say do it. And John Watts being the guy who made Spider-Man kind of like feel like Spider-Man, the insecure kid that we all know and love. I think it's great that you got the guy who would have to do something with that. Also, guys, we had a good Fantastic Four movie. It was called The Incredibles.
I see what you did there.
Ah, I mean, they're basically the Fantastic Four, but just different powers. Well, two characters with different powers.
Well, I mean, technically, you could relate Mr. Incredible to being a thing. They're both super strong. It's just that Mr. Incredible is flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is rock.
And then they took out Human Torch and made the Human Torch like characters a speedster.
Yeah.
Because I totally forgot Violet can turn invisible.
Yeah. She has exactly invisible powers that projecting force fields and turning invisible.
Yeah. And then Mr. Fantastic is Elastigirl.
Yeah. So like 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. Yeah. And like it's not that it's not gonna do. I think what we need to talk about is like how can they pull it off. And in my opinion, is that you have to focus on the family aspect of the characters. You know, they are the first family of Marvel. They act like a family. You know, in your family, you argue with your aunts and uncles, your parents, your brothers, your sisters. Like you always argue, but sometimes you still come together. That's really what they got to do. That's why like I feel like the guy who directed The Girls was probably a better choice. But you know what? I give it to John Watts. I think he can do it. But you need to focus on that. Also, go crazy with that shit, man.
Yeah.
I've read some Fantastic Four comics, bro. They be doing some crazy shit. Some intergalactic travel, time hopping, fucking multiverse, alternate dimension shit. Do it. Just do it. It sounds awesome. Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, man. Like back to the point you were making about like Doctor Doom. That's what I was thinking. If they were gonna have like a next big villain, it would either be Galactus or Doctor Doom himself. And I mean, this would be a great way to introduce, how terrifying this guy can be.
Oh yeah, Joey only wants him to do a foot dive. That's all he needs.
I mean, it doesn't even have to look like a foot dive. It just as long as he just dives into an enemy.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll sneak it in. I mean, they give Iron Man his uni beam and everything. I'm sure they'll put it in his foot dive.
Yeah, but
Man, he's got to scream it too. Foot dive.
well, they're not gonna do that. I know they're not gonna do that. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
You would do it.
I would, but I think most people will be like, that's too cheesy. We can't do that. That's also really dumb.
I mean, can it though? I still remember in X3, like Kitty Pryde, she like brings down the Juggernaut, into the floor, and he was like, "Bitch, don't you know who I am? I'm the motherfucking Juggernaut."
You gotta reverse. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah. Oh god, I got the best. It's been a long while, but yeah, I love those little Easter eggs though.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're talking about X3,
True.
So, yeah. But yeah, I think just the biggest thing about Marvel finally announcing that they're doing the Fantastic Four is just that for the longest time, I think in comic history, the Fantastic Four have been sort of very pivotal in a lot of storylines
Mm-hmm.
in comics. Especially, I think recently, right, with the Secret War stuff.
Yeah, and Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, the basically the two main people is Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom is basically like they call him God Emperor Doom because he's got like these godlike powers.
Yeah, so I feel like for them, I think that's sort of like the biggest reason is that a lot of the storylines that they really couldn't do unless they had the Fantastic Four with them are now open to them. Because when you look back on the MCU and all the storylines they've done in the comics, you got Civil War, you got the Infinity Saga essentially, and all that stuff. So now, like a lot of the other sort of storyline, and you could do all the storylines without the Fantastic Four necessarily, right? They play roles there, but they're not like you can just write them out if you need to. But like a lot of other storylines, yeah, you kind of need the Fantastic Four to show up. I mean, Galactus. I mean, that
He was
whole
introduced through the Fantastic Four.
yeah. So the fact that like Daniel said, like the next two big villains that the MCU could use are either Galactus, the World Eater, or Doctor Doom, and both of them are associated with the Fantastic Four. So building them up now in order to introduce these two big threats that could be seen as sort of Thanos
Mm-hmm.
level, bring everybody together, kind of villains are yeah, it makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Doctor Doom because I feel like probably the one mistake I think a lot of the Fantastic Four movies have done is just bring in Doctor Doom immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously it's their biggest villain they have,
Yeah, it's
but
it's it's their Joker, it's their Green Goblin, it's their Lex Luthor. That's their villain. That's their
Yeah.
big villain.
yeah, but the thing is that in comics, like Doom just has so much like influence
Yeah,
that it seems like to put him in the first film and to take him out in the same film is sort of just like you're kind of
limiting him.
yeah, like essentially I don't I that's like the one thing I hope they don't do is have Doom be the villain. Like build him up
Mm-hmm.
because he definitely needs that build up because I mean it's sort of like the nice thing about Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't start off with the Joker, you get Scarecrow, and then you build up the Joker. It's like, oh, all right, here
Yeah.
we go. So I could like see something similar of like the Fantastic Four have just defeated the
Mm-hmm.
bad guy, and then like maybe an after credit scene of like Doom sort of like in his chair in that area being like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm ready for this. Or whatever.
I mean, you're right in that everything always ties back to like the Fantastic Four, especially when it comes to not only just them but also their villains, because I could totally see this being like the third um, Doctor Strange movie, and it's a well known story where Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange team up to basically go to hell and find Doctor Doom's mother and stuff, and it's one of the best. I can't remember the name of the story off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure we looked those two. That what I just said, Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange team up. You probably find it, but it's like one of the best stories, and also one of the stories that basically humanizes Doom and makes him seem more relatable. Like Doom has a lot of stuff that makes him both like gives him sort of a human aspect, but also kind of terrifying. Like you mentioned the Secret Wars book, I have it right there in my shelf, and then every time, once in a while, I'll come back to read it because it was such a good read. But one of my favorite moments was like when Doom. So in the universe, basically, Doom alters it, and like he's married to Susan Storm and has their kids, Valeria and Franklin. Um, take that however you will. That he has a very like soft moment where he's talking to the kids and he's talking to his wife, and it's like Mrs. Fantastic, she's like talking about how he's a good person and kind of hard. And you kind of and there's a moment where he takes off his mask, which is like one you're already like, oh, that's gonna be terrifying to look like, and you're right because the man's missing a nose, and it's gross,
Yeah.
and you kind of see his sad eyes, and you're like, oh damn, this is like a tragic character in Doom, and that's basically what we need to. I feel like they need to do when it comes to Doom, and yeah, I know we're mostly talking about Doom, but he is inevitably tied to the Fantastic Four. You can't have him without the Fantastic Four, because one of the big things about those two, is his rivalry with Mister Fantastic, because they're it's no easy way to say this. It's a dick measuring contest. Instead of that, it's more like I'm smarter than you. No, I'm smarter than you. It's like if me and Daniel were trying to fight over who controls the fucking podcast right now.
Oh my god.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm smarter. No, I'm smarter. I invented time travel. Bitch, I invented transdimensional travel. Like what? And so that's gonna be fun to see. And I don't know, Daniel, what do you think?
I mean, it's really cool. Like I said, I don't know who's going to be the next big villain, but I would love to see either Doctor Doom. Galactus would be great, but I like to see Doctor Doom first. And I'm just happy that we're seeing the Fantastic Four back because Marvel I didn't like how they were just neglecting the Fantastic Four for all these years just because 20th Century Fox had the rights to the films. Like no comics, no games, nothing like that whatsoever. So it's glad.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's bring them back. And I still have the comic in the first issue that where they came back.
Yeah, so
It's nice.
yeah, so it's really cool, and I'm really glad that we're starting to see like some of the properties that they've been ignoring, like the Fantastic Four, being brought back to the light now.
And I'll say this right now: Fantastic Four. This is something that I remember reading off somewhere about. Like it's like they meant like some comic book YouTubers mentioned this, and it was like it's probably the best way to explain like all the teams of Marvel. Like the Fantastic Four, they're explorers. They're the ones that go out into space and do all this stuff. Remember, they're the ones who knew about the Kree and the Scrolls,
Yeah,
and they go into interdimensional travel where they fight a nihilist, this evil dude from an alternate universe, and all this kind of stuff. So the Fantastic, like I said, Fantastic Four. What you need to get down is that they're kind of like a family.
yeah,
Same way you got down the characters from The Incredibles, and also just have them do like fun exploration stuff. I'll never forget when they met God. Like they met Jack Kirby, their creator, their the artist, and they mentioned even Jack Kirby's like, "Oh yeah, that's my buddy Stan over there. Don't pay attention to him." And he's like, "Our friend," and they're like, "Our friend Ben Grimm is dead." Charles Ben Grimm. There you go. He's alive. That's it. Just leave my office. I gotta draw. I got a deadline to meet.
yeah,
So it's like that's kind of like I'm not saying give me that, but I'm saying like just give me stuff like that, some fun adventure stuff.
yeah.
That Fantastic Four should be like a family fun adventure, and has like bring us two of the greatest villains that Marvel has had, Galactus and Doctor Doom, and build them up. Build those two up. That's all I'm asking. Galactus, yeah, he's the world leader, but if you go deep into the comics lore of Marvel, he's kind of a necessary evil because you know how it's like the life and death sequence.
I mean, yeah, same thing like Thanos. Perfectly balanced as should be and stuff like that.
but his way is more like, yeah, I can't stop eating, guys. I have to. It's the only thing I can do. It really, there's a book about that. Go check it out. And Joanna, you can continue.
Oh, well, I think you kind of just summed up a lot of this stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, there's just a lot of potential now, especially with Marvel. Marvel not having the Fantastic Four back underneath their rights. I think, if anything, something. I'm actually kind of surprised it's taken us this long to for them to announce the Fantastic Four movie. Just because I think they got the rights. Obviously, they got the rights back when they bought 20th Century Fox. I guess we'll just have to wait maybe, I don't know, a couple more years for them to announce that they're doing X-Men movies again.
I think Dan, I'll let you go first.
I mean, I kind of see your points, but yeah, like they just announced it, so I hope they're giving it, the time it needs, to be well crafted as a good movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing. We first off, we need to wash our mouths out of the last two X-Men movies, no matter whether you fall under whether they're good or not. That we still need to cleanse our thoughts of those movies, and try to do something else. I wouldn't say we're not getting X movies because they did say that Deadpool 3 is still in the works.
Yeah, okay.
And,
Yeah, like it's weird. Like I'm not sure if they, I'm not sure if they confirmed that Deadpool 3 is an MCU film too, because I keep hearing different rumors about it as well.
But I mean, like, what my point is that I feel like as we go along, we'll eventually get to, that the X movie. I think right now what they're doing is that they're setting up sort of a multiverse and like world ending kind of stuff again to get us more invested. Because like, so what's the current lineup right now for the movies that lead up to Fantastic Four?
We We have Spider-Man 3. We still have Black Widow. We have Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange Eternals,
Uh,
and I feel like we're missing one.
it was Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the majority of those are coming out this year. Uh, so who like with the event, the Infinity Saga, we kind of saw where it was going from beginning to end, because the first few movies leading up to Avengers, which was Phase One, was basically setting up the Avengers and like, hey guys, Thanos, Infinity Saga, and then we're like, oh, the whole time the rest of the way goes. So probably around this time we'll figure out something, and then we'll come back. We'll probably do an episode on it. Once we figure it out, we're gonna be like, oh my god, they're doing it. Those sons of bitches, they're doing it. Clone Saga?
No.
No. I would rather see, like the build up where we see the Fantastic Four trick Magneto with a wooden gun.
Oh, I mean, listen. The one thing I'll always give Marvel though, they know how to take stuff from the comics and reintroduce it in a way that is enjoyable for audience that never read the comics. Like Civil War isn't Civil War in the comics, but it's still pretty good. Sometimes better than the comic. So like, part of me thinks they're probably gonna do the whole. They own that the X Men are in an island off somewhere, hidden from humanity, and Namor's part of it. Oh shit! I forgot about Namor.
Is he getting a movie? I don't recall.
No, but he's also tied to Fantastic Four.
You're right.
He came out before Fantastic Four.
But he was reintroduced.
He was reintroduced through Fantastic Four, and he keeps trying to bang Miss Fantastic. Sometimes they do, but it's always a thing.
Yeah, I mean that might be interesting, but it isn't like the whole thing with Namor is like he's in a similar situation as like the Hulk, like his rights are still tangled up with like a different like movie
Paramount.
studio. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I could definitely see them like doing that. That makes sense.
Yep. Just introduce him as like a villain for a while, like what we all thought Fantastic Four 3 was gonna be.
What are we talking about?
Okay, remember in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, how it ends with Doctor Doom getting to the water?
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, some people thought like, is this going to introduce Namor in the third movie?
And then the movie never happened.
Never happened.
No.
I guess there's like theories that like back in Endgame when they're talking about like some sort of underwater disturbances, some people were saying that's Namor or whatever. But so far we haven't like gotten any confirmation if that's like anything related to Namor. So yeah, okay.
I will say that I did find this out later on that Fox did try to do sort of their own like not multiverse, but universe story where it involved the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and I want to say there was a third group that I don't remember well, or a couple of other characters, and it was going to be their own version of Civil War. And like, but apparently, this is what I've heard, that Mr. Fantastic would have like, you know how he can make himself flat, right? He would have made himself so flat that he was able to cut off Wolverine's hand off, or something like that.
Shit. What was that?
It was originally like a planned idea that never like got off the ground, and I want to say Ben Affleck's Daredevil was supposed to be part of it too.
Wait, did Fox do Daredevil?
Yeah, Fox had rights to Daredevil, and it wasn't until like
Because I know they did Ghost Rider, but I don't remember about Daredevil.
yeah, I'm pretty sure like half the reason why we got like the Netflix show for Daredevil was because I think some rights expired.
Mm-hmm.
Like they weren't able to like make another Daredevil movie off the ground, so they're like those rights along with other character rights like Kingpin and stuff went back to Marvel.
Recently too.
Yeah, it was like in 2015 or whatever. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but like half the reason why, and that's sort of half the reason why people were like speculating if the new Fantastic Four, like Fantastic, was gonna be like tying into the X-Men universe at all, and then they came out and said no, we're gonna be separate.
Yeah,
I'm assuming because by that point they realized that that plan wasn't like they just couldn't like figure out a good way to bring it all together. So they're just like, yeah, let's just keep them separate. Fantastic Four, X-Men, let's keep it separate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, high hopes and expectations for this new Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. I think that's all of us like in unison. We're all kind of hoping the best. I mean, Joey, you pretty much summed it up. With the Fantastic Four, you can introduce a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Cactus, Doom, Annihilus, some of the Korean Scroll characters.
I mean, yeah, like there's a big window of opportunity right there.
Joey, you can get your Super Scroll, and you can do the Marvel Capcom movesets.
I mean, they're not gonna do that, but it would be kind of like a neat thing to see happen, right?
Yeah, we can get Silver Surfer, and that could be a whole thing. Like it opens so much. It opens so much, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I feel like people just sort of don't really expect much from Fantastic Four because of the track record and because like how prevalent they are in the comics. Like right now, I wouldn't say they're that prevalent. Maybe because of the Fox thing, but right now they weren't that prevalent. But they still have such an importance in the Marvel universe where we kind of you can't have one without the other. So yeah. Is there anything else we can talk about? Anything else we can mention about Fantastic Four coming back?
No, I feel like we talked about anything. I mean, is there like anything interesting?
Do you guys want to talk about who can play who?
I don't know. I got nothing on the brain.
I mean, I can see Chris Evans plays the Human Torch.
Now that is a good idea.
Man, I really wish Chris Evans was still playing Captain America and they could have made a joke.
But hey, Kevin, do you think you look a little bit like that guy?
Yeah, like they just like I like you, kid. You and me were a lot alike, whatever. And you just have like a little wink and nudge to the audience, like, oh yeah, he played the Torch.
Yeah, I mean they keep saying John Krasinski and his wife Emily Blunt should play Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
I can see it.
Yeah, I can kind of see it too, but for all the other characters, I have nothing.
And have Leonardo DiCaprio play Namor because Emily Blunt said that she has a crush. She had a crush on Leonardo DiCaprio.
All right, that's just why? Why would you? This is why you never listen to people This is why you never listen to fans when it comes to casting stuff. They make up the stupidest excuses for characters to be characters. Really for actors to play characters. It's like, why is that a consideration?
That's why I said Leonardo DiCaprio would have the superhero movie. But that was funny as hell.
I mean, yeah, I think his time. I feel like he sort of passed his time to being a superhero movie unless he just wanted to do it for shits and giggles.
I mean, he was going to be a Spider-Man at one point.
I mean, yeah, but that's past.
That is way past. Anyways, I think it's the end of the episode. Thank you guys for taking a listen to us and hearing us ramble about Fantastic Four and Batman. And hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. If you have any of your thoughts, please let us know through the YouTube, where you'll probably see our beautiful mugs, where you can comment, like, and subscribe, and talk to us about anything. Give us your opinion. And if you do follow us, be sure to follow us on social media at the Geek Centurions. We have a Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts. Again, you can all look them up at the Geek Centurions. And if you follow us on Instagram, you'll find a link tree where you can find us not only with the links to YouTube, but also the links to all our podcasting sites like podcast, like Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Pandora, Spotify, all that good stuff where we're at. And you'll also find a link to our Patreon where we can do a lot more stuff, but we need your help for it. You can quick donations here and there to help us out in the long run. There's a lot of stuff that we want to do. Again, because of current events, we can't really do much. But hopefully, once things clear up, we can go crazy as much as we wanted to go crazy last year. But anyways, yeah, it's been fun. We hopefully the whole Michael Keaton as Batman thing makes sense. Hopefully, we want Fantastic Four to be great. Please give us Doctor Doom. I want him up there. I don't know who could play him, but I want him up there, and I want him to be the next big bad like Thanos. But then again, I'm just a guy on the internet. You can't have to listen to me at all. Kevin Feige, looking at you. I think because I know you're watching me. Anyways, it's been a fun episode. Daniel, thanks for coming in.
That's no problem.
Yeah.
You guys always have a joy talking to you guys, and hopefully everyone is staying safe. We'll get through a lot of stuff. Let's come up with a couple more good episodes. We're still getting through 2021 and hopefully getting a lot better. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening to us. We got the Geek Centurions. Have a good one. Peace.